Alright guys, I want to make this video because I think we're entering a very, very, very weird time going forward, 2026 and beyond, with the culmination of AI, the culmination of massive inflation, overpriced assets, difficulty to get ahead, difficulty navigating social landscapes, and just difficulty modes in general that have increased opposed to periods past in history. Now, this video is going to be off the cuff. There's going to be no structure. I'm going to be going and spreading my thoughts on how to do this, my current experience, and why I think I'm decently qualified to talk about how to navigate this. This applies especially to young fellas trying to navigate this world, especially ones who've been in university, or ones who even haven't in general. I think I have a pretty good grasp on where the average person is sitting, because I think there's such a big polarity between what people see online and then what reality actually is. Because you go online, you'll see all these rich people who are like our age, 21, for example, who have millions and millions of dollars, famous online, all these different types of things. And to be fair, they have taken advantage of what the environment has facilitated. But I'm more making this video for people who are more level-headed, not the type of people who are going to be on camera shaking their head and screaming like I show speed, or all these influencers that aren't very niche specific, but more so personality entertainment, but to the level where it's like they just look retarded. And that's not something that I feel a lot of guys are here, and a lot of girls too, are going to be doing online, because they're more normal. They're not going to be sitting there having a 2-minute crash out over a game, okay? Because we operate in the real paradigm, the normal paradigm. And only now has this weird jester slash clown phase of the world been able to facilitate in such a large way, because only now is it highly scalable. Like back in the past, they had clown shows and all that sort of stuff, but it was different. Like you couldn't be so silly and get ahead the same capacity you are now. It's like the more silly you are, the more novel you are now, and the more that attracts an audience, because it's entertainment and it's very scalable. Now, this video is going to be quite long, and to those who don't want to watch it, I reckon don't watch it. But for those who want to be able to understand how to navigate the landscape, how I've navigated the current landscape, how I've been able to save quite a large amount of money, and how I'm going to grow that to a few $100,000 very, very soon, and also how I'm navigating networking, how I'm navigating social landscapes with fellow people my age, all that stuff that's important for building the foundations for a good life. And another thing I want to talk about is these, and how we can use these to our advantage, and also how these are destroying our lives, okay? Because everyone you see, well, especially in Australia, there's a lot of people stuck on their phones like this. I'm sure it's universal. And I want to be able to here to say, be the one who takes the initiative, because the fortune favors the brave, okay? And I'm just going to be blunt and honest in how I portray everything in this video. So, let's just start with who I am, where I'm currently sitting. And by the way, I'm making this more so as a personal log for myself, so I can look back on my thought processes, my mental models, my systems, and my frameworks for thinking. And because I think ultimately your frameworks for thinking are where that's what's going to lead you in life. And that's because decision making is where you go, right? That's how you determine the path that you take. One decision will make you live somewhere. One decision will make you move over here. One decision will make you be friends with this person. One decision will make you end up marrying this person. So your decision frameworks are extremely important, and glossing over them is something that should not be done, okay? Especially due to this age. This age is I like to view it, let me just pop up so we can see here. I like to view this age at 21 as the age where you're down here, right? You're around here. You're starting to get that compounding effect slowly. Now, I want to show you why I'm starting to get it, because I'm starting, in total, I have about $70,000, okay? About that. I keep about $40,000 on my trading account and $30,000 in various banks, spread out. I like to keep it spread out. And this is my trading account, so I use it to trade the market, because I do trading, and I'm not one of these trading influencer guys where I'm like taking a trade every day. I wait for what I want. I see a good setup that I like. I've been doing this for years. You can even see that here. We'll get into this stuff too, but I've been doing trading for like 4+ years. So I know the market pretty well. I was looking at Bitcoin below $100,000, etc., etc. Okay? We'll get into why I'm doing this also into the next few minutes of this video, because that is another thing that can help you as a young person. Now, let me just move over here so we can see what we're looking at. I also want to conceptualize this for everyone. So when you're 21, right, you're sitting about here in the growth curve. Now, people like to think life moves very linearly like this. It doesn't, okay? This is why you can see two different people in the same household have two completely different lives. So you can have, there's really mainly three outcomes. So if you're in a consistent growth trajectory, it will look like this. Or it'll probably be less steep, something like that, okay? Now, if you're average and you do nothing with your life, you end up like this. Or you take incremental steps and you don't really do much that enables compounding, you end up like that. Most people will end up in this band here, this shaded band here. So that what that would mean here is, you know, someone who works a 9 to 5, who just saves money in their bank, doesn't invest, someone who doesn't take risks. They come out of high school, they stay in the same job, they don't network, they don't do the things which grow themselves further than by the way, I gotta show you what this looks like because I know you can't see it. So that is what I'm looking at. So, you know, 9 to 5, you've got, you know, no risk, just at least moderate risk. So their risk profile, if you were to look at it on like a standard deviation, they'd be sitting right here, their risk profile. Now you want to be somewhere in this spot here, taking high asymmetric bets, and we'll get into what those bets are. The inverse down here, like doing drugs, being around negative people, that sort of stuff, okay? So, this video is going to be very whiteboard driven, and if you guys like this sort of content, definitely give it a subscribe and let me know what you think, because I want to do these to document how I'm conceptualizing the world, how I'm seeing reality based on my experiences and how I'm viewing the world as a 21-year-old trying to navigate this modern landscape. All right, so you have the exponential curve, right? So that's squared. And then you got this one going down here. So that's like a negative exponential. So that would be a culmination of many, many bad decisions, which ends up you being an alcoholic, being homeless, and hating your life. Most people don't end up there. That's why I'm saying the big conglomeration point is here. Now, the reason this is very important, because if you want to have a very, very good life, you want to be on this side of the distribution, okay? Because this side is very, 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 very average. And there's nothing wrong with being average, but if you are ambitious, being average is very, very difficult because your income is very, very capped. You'd be sitting here about $80,000 a year. You're kind of limited to where you can go. Social mobility is very constricted. You're just stuck. Now, if you're anything like me, you have ambitions about life. You look outside and you have wonder, and you want to do more in life. You don't want to be stuck in an office all day doing something you don't enjoy. That being said, we'll get into why that is important for a bit, but definitely not something you want to be doing your entire life. Now, we know most people conglomerate here, and we need to be figuring out how do we get here and what can we do to get to that situation. Now, let me just take that down. Now, the reason I think this is very important, and what I'm going to do to illustrate this is, I'm going to leave this one here. So, you know, we're 21, sitting here right now, and over here is where you start having some massive compounding effects, okay? So these specific catalysts will be the decisions you make in this block right here. All the decisions you make in here will lead you to have this, okay? Now, we'll get into what that is, how that works, because that's important. It's like the sixth wonder of the world and how this compounding effect works. So in the big 2026 and beyond, right, we've got macro trends which are affecting us, okay? We've got an extremely competitive job market. So the job market is extremely stuffed up, okay? You've got AI replacing work, especially entry-level work. You've got late-stage capitalism. Okay. What else do you have? You also have massive comparison traps that are everywhere. Okay, so you always feel like you're behind. Funny for me, because even I feel like I'm behind and I've got $70,000. Because then you go online, you see some trader like TJR or all these different guys who are like way richer than you. And yeah, they are way richer than you, but the methods in which they made it are probably different and not as sound as what you're trying to do. Or even if you were trying to do that, they had the first mover advantage, and that's just life, right? Life's unfair. And you can't sit and cry about it. So we got to be figuring out what we can do based off this. So job market's very difficult. AI is replacing work, late stage capitalism, massive comparison traps. You've also got social, I would say social, not collapse, but social, what's a good word for this? Social issues. I would say social issues. So social issues could come from the fact that, you don't really have a tight community. You don't really have many friends outside of the phone or on Discord or whatever app, whatever you're using, right? You don't have a brotherhood. You don't have opportunities to have serendipity, which then create opportunities for you to meet people and have networks and build a life and build connections, because that's important, okay? Now, we're going to get into how you can fix that, because everything is fixable, even though it is much harder. And, I just want to preface saying, yes, it's very difficult in this current landscape, but the reality of the situation is it was also very difficult in a war situation, if not way worse. So navigating this just requires a little bit of bravery, a little bit of confrontation, and in a world where everyone's conformed to comfort, that's not something people really want to be doing. But I'm here to say that you got to be doing that. You want to be the one. If you want a good life, you got to be the one taking initiative and making the moves, okay? So the big ones that are really driving the youth of job market, AI replacing work, latest capitalism, massive comparison traps, social issues, and then I would just say asset price inflation, okay? So this just means growing up later. So you can't move out. And if you do, you lose all your money to rent. All these different types of things, which make it very, very hard to gain independence. So independence enables you to think, enables you to expand your mind. So when you're young, you like to view it like this, right? So your knowledge is very small. Your scope of responsibility is very small. What you got to take care of is opening your mouth and eating food. Now, when you leave the nest and get out, your scope of expansion grows. And when you keep doing that, it keeps growing. And the more it grows, the more your network of knowledge grows. So this is like knowledge out here. Knowledge is in here too. And it's very easy to connect dots. So you can start connecting dots, and then your knowledge base forms, okay? And so you have this web of knowledge that looks something like this. And that's very important, because that is your skill stack. Okay, your skill stack is what you can use to then sell in the marketplace and get income from, which then grows into this. It compounds. And when you don't have that, it's very difficult. So I know this is a very, very rough illustration of how it looks, but I feel like a lot of people are trapped in this purgatory zone, probably in here, where their knowledge is like very capped. All they know is university. All they know is Instagram Reels. All they know is how to apply on LinkedIn and not actually get out there and meet people and make connections in real life that aren't. And by the way, let me just move this so you can see it, because you can't see it. Here. The knowledge base of someone that's in the youth right now is very constricted within this band. You want your knowledge out here. You can draw parallels between many different zones. Now, how do we fix all of this, knowing that the current issue is these are our current issues we're facing, and we want to have a curve that looks like this, almost an equity curve, right? So an equity curve for my money could look like this, for example. Slowly going up over time. That's what ultimately you want to be culminating for your life and your money and your finances. Because when you have a lot of money, well, it makes it a lot easier to sleep at night. And when you can sleep at night, you can have better decisions. You don't have to worry so much about stuff. You can go get food. You can go get healthy food. And by the way, I've had no handouts. The only handouts I've had is I've been living with my parents. Okay? I have friends who haven't been living with their parents, who don't have as much money as me. I have friends who are living with their parents and have similar money to me. So with anything, there's a trade-off. And people look at like, oh, but you're still living with your parents. Well, you're probably broke. You probably have no money. You probably have no social mobility. You probably have a lot of fake friends. You probably have all these different things which I don't want and I'm not jealous of. So each to their own. And I think there's a lot of guys that are like me who want to build something that has stability, want to build something that has longevity, want to build connections that actually last, long-lasting connections that will actually pay fruits in the future, right? Positive sum interactions, not these freaking take interactions that form equity curves like this. Let me take. Instead, let me give. We can all help each other. How about we do that? See, that's way better. Now, this is also getting a lot harder because this is happening. You've got late stage capitalism and AI replacing work. So this is making it very, very difficult. And that's why I think the longer you leave it and delay and don't take action, the harder things will become for you. Especially, and I don't even want to think about what it's going to be like for the future generations. I got a 4-year-old brother, and it's going to be very difficult. But that being said, I'm going to be the brother who helps him grow, and beat this system. I'm not giving into this system and how it's behaving. And you don't have to. Look at me. Like, I'm already well ahead and truly ahead of the curve. $70,000 at 21. I'm nearly 22, but $70,000 at this age. It's only going to compound extremely harder going forward now, because I know my knowledge set and I know what I'm looking for. Okay, and yes, I've had to work extremely hard. Yes, I've had to work multiple jobs. Yes, I've had to do constant outreach and take keyword initiative. Okay, keyword initiative. I know it's very foreign to people these days, but for those who are watching this, you probably have initiative because this type of content would interest you. And we're going to get into how you can take initiative in a very conducive and productive way that increases your luck surface area. Now, this is a concept I've been delving into because in life is like you have a dartboard here, right? Sorry, my drawing is really difficult. So your bullseye is here. Your job in life, especially when you're young in your 20s, during this phase right here, 20, 21, 20 to 25, I would say, is you ideally you're going to be taking all your hits by 21 to 25. 18 to 25, actually. Like, I started doing content, investing in my skill set 4 years ago. So I was 17, 18 back then. And before then, I was doing other things like that were getting me more social and comfortable in front of cameras. So then I can do things like this, where I go on camera with a team of investment panelists, and then we talk about markets.
Really fun.
So that's me there, and then we talk about markets. And what am I doing when I'm doing this? Well, I'm building social mobility. I'm building, let me move that so you can see it. Yeah, so I'm building social mobility. I'm building connections with the business. I'm building connections in industry. I'm solidifying myself on a platform where my face is visual, and it's not done from the sense of I'm sitting here trying to garner entertainment. I'm also producing value, showing my insights of what I believe for my specific niche skill set. And we'll get into what I've done, what other things I've done too, and how I've been able to take stepping stones with that knowledge that I've accumulated. So, you know, when you're young, you got to take shots. So you take shots here. You just keep taking shots until one hits a bullseye. Now, all you need is one to hit the bullseye, right? Because once one thing hits the bullseye, you almost get this launch pad. Now, this launch pad enables you, if you take advantage of it, you can then jump into the next arena, and that launch pad will then compound, and you jump to the next one, and then it compounds until you reach a point where you're actually kind of safe. So let's picture me, for example. I have very, very good industry connections. I have about $70,000. Now let's fast forward 5 years from now. You know, the thing about money compounds if you're smart. So my money is probably going to be worth, I would say 5 years from now, I would estimate probably around $300,000. Okay, probably even more, because me and my brother have done really well in like the meme coin cycle, and we were there and took advantage of that. And actually, we're going to get into that opportunity, and not that specifically, but opportunity and how it rolls in waves. So opportunity rolls in a wave like this, and times in troughs you got to be studying, and in peaks here you got to be taking advantage of it. And we'll get into that. This video is gonna be big, guys. It's my conceptualization of how I view the world and how I view success and how I view moving ahead in these constraints, because these are your constraints. This is like reality. Reality's not going to slow down. Work's going to get hard to get. Okay, late stage capitalism is in place. Hyper financialization is taking place. Massive comparison traps, distractions, social issues, inflation, all this sort of stuff, making it harder for you to survive in this world. Okay, Now, you can easily break through it if you just follow what I'm trying to say in this video, because I've thought about it extensively and I feel like I have a good grasp of it all. Okay. Now, stay tuned because we're getting in depth. So, you know, one thing leads to another, and your job as a 21-year-old man is to be looking at this scoreboard. It's on a scoreboard. I don't want to sit here and say scoreboard because that creates like a comparison loop, which is like not good. You don't want to be doing comparison. You just want to be taking raw action. Like the theme here, for me specifically, has just been raw action. Sending the message, shooting the video, learning the thing. Don't sit on your ass all day expecting things to rock up. So, let me give you examples of shots I've taken. Okay. Started learning about how to make YouTube videos when I was like 10. Started learning about social dynamics. Boom. Learning about computer science. Boom. Learning about investing. Boom. That was more closer to my bullseye. And by the way, there's many different levels of the bullseye, but we'll start to get into where my current bullseye is. Being able to make good friends outside of work and actually have a social life, even though you don't see them all the time. Be able to form connections, be able to go up to strangers and have a conversation. Overcoming fear and being nervous. Boom. These things stack and they connect the dots and they form a pattern like this, right? So then your asymmetry gets higher the more bets you take, and you ultimately want to curve your asymmetry into this middle bit. Learning about investing, reaching out to people in the industry, making content about building a portfolio, coding, boom, using AI to think clearly and form mental models on how to think and conceptualize the world. First principles thinking, second order thinking, Pareto's principles, power laws. Tools that you can use to put yourself in high leverage situations where instead of you being here, you're down here, okay? And then finally, being able to secure jobs, being able to secure platforms, reputation, compound effects, insane connections, compounding money. Now this enables you to go to this next target. Now, one thing I just want to say is it's going to be a higher target. That's the key here. The target, I'm sorry, this is very, very messy, but the target now upgrades. Your circle of competence and scope increases. Now instead, your connections are out here, and then your new ones and your new goals are going to be here. So now the next thing is you're trying to like maybe meet the CEO of an exchange, maybe get a really good qualification so that you're connected with XYZ person or whatever it is, right? Like your goals are going to keep changing and your money goals are going to change. Maybe it's acquire that house, acquire that thing, whatever it's going to be, right? For each person, it's going to be different. Now let me just remove all of this sort of stuff. So I hope that's been clear. You've got to be taking steps to increase your stepping stones, right? So you build. That's why taking the first step is so important. Just taking that first step. And for me, it started with accumulating knowledge. And I think that is where you start. Accumulate knowledge that compounds. So, asymmetric knowledge is what you have to first accumulate. Now, what is asymmetric knowledge? Asymmetric knowledge are things with high upside. Now, these are things which sort of escape these things. So, asymmetric knowledge can combat that. It can also combat this. It can also combat can combat that because that's not important. That's not important too. When you take high asymmetric bets, it's not that it's not important, but you're trying to like safeguard yourself from it. So asymmetric knowledge is stuff that looks like this. Okay, so things that don't look like that look like this, and that's things like sport. Sport's cool for a bit, but you don't want to be wasting your time just watching other men succeed in life. It's kind of gay. So you got sport, which is a big one. You've got social media on the comparison side, on the consumer side. So social media on the producer side is a different story. On the consumer side, okay. And then you've got low quality interactions with low quality people. See, not all social interactions are good, like they can also have a negative effect on your life. Now, things that have a positive EV curve, like knowledge specifically, they're going to be things like um, thinking, like actually sitting down and thinking about things, okay? Learning about uh, understanding systems. So, systems is a big one. So, when I say understanding systems, I'm talking specifically about financial systems, social systems, okay? Because everything around you is a system, whether you like it or not. Like the institutions are a system, a university is a system, a human being is a system. We have a regulation of emotions, feelings. The money system's a system. Okay, so everything's a system, and once you can learn the system, you can then take advantage of the system. Now, not in a predatory way, but you can take advantage of it and do well in life because the system is not going to change. The rules of the game, the rules of the game, and that's how it is. So, learning systems, delaying your gratification. So, delayed. I'm just going to delay G. Delayed gratification. Um, the right people. Okay, very important. The right people. And I don't want the right P. I'm just going to do that and make it abbreviated. The right people. Um, you've then got environments. Where is your environment? Are you in a crappy environment around crappy things? Not just people. Like, is your knowledge around you crap? Luckily, with the internet, we can get on the internet and learn from people, be in groups and communities. And I'm going to start a community in this for young guys like myself. You can join the group. We can all chat because I want to form a group of guys who are very similar in thinking, and then so you can sort of bounce ideas off each other. So then your scope of knowledge expands too, and you connect more dots. Plus social interactions with guys who think the same. So by the way, I'm really tired. I did not sleep last night because I was at a work function. So I'm just like gassed out, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys and just myself so I can reflect back on it because it's about compounding knowledge. Let me just turn the fan on real quick. You got your environment, which is a very, very big thing. You've then got I would say your skill stack. And then also I want to mix in here hobbies, like getting into hobbies, actually doing things that actually bring excitement to your life because you have to be balanced. You can't, if you're all about non-stop hustle, grind, all that sort of stuff, well then you're going to burn out real quick. It's going to be real hard to keep going. And before you know it, you're going to give up at your equity curve you're going to give up here when you're down money and then you're not going to make money. Okay. You're going to give up. So, that's not good. So you don't want to be doing that. You want to be stuck in something for a long enough duration where you can perform the best in it over the long term. Yes, think about it like this. When you're young and you don't have anything, what do you have on your side? You have youth, right? And when you're old, you have youth, and when you're old, you got time. Time's big. Over here, you got capital, assuming you played your cards right. You got capital, you got reputation. You've got, you got responsibility. So just responsibilities. Sorry, I'm just really hard to write this. Responsibilities. Whatever. When you're young, this is it. This is all you got. So you're gonna trade this, because time's an asset. In fact, time's the most valuable asset you can get. Time, attention, focus, whatever you want to call it, right? You have to be depositing that into this because this will lead you to get all this by the time you're like 30. Now imagine me at 30. If I've already got $70,000 at this age, what am I going to have at 30? I'm already doing all this. I'm already working for the Moon Show too. Like, the Moon Show's a massive show in crypto that has like 600,000 subscribers. We're already talking about all that. I'm already on a show that has 600,000 subscribers. I'm mixing it with people who are very, very, very rich, who know what they're talking about. My relationships haven't even compounded properly yet. I'm out here doing things with people who are affluent. I'm having dinners with people who are affluent. people who know what they're talking about, people who, and I'm out here in the woods too, the trenches. I'm out here, I'm literally out here getting in the offices, doing the hard work that it takes to get out there. And the reason I say this is because a lot of young fellas are struggling to navigate the job market. They're struggling to navigate the climate you're in. And, I've had more jobs than this, but I've just done things, right? Like I've started YouTube channels. I made a university club about my interests. I was a teacher for a bit. I've done content I work in the financial field. I'm doing all these things while I'm still in university, okay? Now, this is not here to brag. I'm not here to brag whatsoever. I'm here to tell you that there's ways to get ahead. I don't want you guys to be like, move that over here again. I don't want the young fellas to be sitting here doomsdaying and being doomer. Because if you doom about things, right? So doom's like it's a heavy emotion. If you doom, you create this feedback loop. It looks like this. Until eventually you get so depressed you might be suicidal at this point. Oh, the world's ending. Everything sucks. Oh, no one wants to be friends with me. Oh, money's so hard to get. Oh, you'll end up becoming this like depressed bag of meat. Forbid you into that and forbid you into this. You want to be this. You want to be an optimistic. Elon says you want to be optimistic. Optimists get paid, okay? I'm pretty optimistic. Yes, I go through bad days. No one has it. If you're going to be going through life happy every day, then you're a liar. You're not going to be happy every day. You're going to go through life like this. Oh, hit. Oh, hit. Like it looks like that, and then there's going to be something that hits you hard. A tragedy happens and you rebuild. But your curve should be growing, right? You should be growing. You have to be growing. Otherwise, entropy will take place and take care of you if you're not growing. Like, if you're not swimming, think about a shark. If the shark's not swimming, it dies. You have to be moving. Stagnation is death, okay? In a world, if you're like this and the world's doing this, well, you're behind, okay? You're not leveraging the tools of the world. It's like, let's just say you're stuck on horses and didn't move to cars. Well, you're here, everyone else is here. Going 100 miles an hour, you're going whatever you're going, right? The same thing is applied to this. Now, when you're young, what you have on your side is time. So time capital. Time capital is the most important. You have to invest time into skills, into learning new activities, being uncomfortable. Sorry, I'm rushing this because it's really hard to write it all. Being uncomfortable it's unrecognizable. Being uncomfortable is very important. When I first started doing videos, I was very, very nervous. I was very, very nervous. And when I did my first live stream, I was very, very nervous. This one here, there was like 5,000 people watching it. I was very, very nervous. But, once you do it, well then you don't really get that nervous because you've done it. So one of the proxies for if you're moving in this direction is, are you feeling uncomfortable? If you're not, well then that's not good, right? Now, one of the things I'm trying to do more is I've built myself a lot of good professional connections, but almost at the jeopardy of like, I do have, friends from school, all that sort of stuff, but I haven't really made much of a larger friend group than that outside of like, so I'll just draw that here so you can see. I haven't really made many more friends. I've really done this curve for my business, my money, all that sort of stuff, but I haven't really done that for like relationships. I haven't done that for connections with, other guys that are just normal and wanting to. And that being said, I just would like to emphasize on that too. Is there a point on being friends with guys who don't want to push themselves? I don't think so, because they're going to derail you. So that being said, you got to be careful, right? I'm specifically talking about guys my age who are more on my journey. I've met a few, but it's very hard to keep those connections because they're busy too. Life's busy. And like, I've also not neglected, but I haven't put much effort into like relationships, meeting a partner, all that sort of stuff, which is something that I do need to put work into, right? Obviously everything requires work. Because it's kind of difficult doing everything at once. Okay. And I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I've got guys who front loaded on relationships, whatever they did, right? Who don't have any money, who are in crappy situations, don't have professional connections, and it's like, oh, can you do everything at once? I don't know. You probably could, but it's really really hard to do that. And you can also be derailed with the wrong person too. Wrong friends can derail you. Wrong environments can derail you. So that applies to everything. So I wouldn't sit there and doom about it if you haven't had a lot of those parts sorted of your life. If you're a 20-year-old guy, you're still young, bro. Your peak isn't yet. Your peak's probably going to come out at 28 or something, right? So there's time, but you definitely want to be putting the effort into building those connections, relationships, putting yourself in communities where you're helping, you're contributing. You're not sitting there in this weird. So I'm just drawing a lot of these graphs. You're not sitting there in this weird perspective where you're trying to compete with every guy and be like looks maxing and being so silly that your life's become like a meme. It's ridiculous. Let me Chad Max or some whatever these guys say these days, right? Like this whole notion of like you're gonna be doing all this stuff to your face to be appreciated by people. It's ridiculous, okay? Now I say this, I'm not an ugly guy. I'm not sitting here saying this. I don't want to sit here and say this from a perspective of someone who's like, because people are going to probably say like, oh, look at you, you're not an ugly fella. Or maybe I am. I don't even know. I haven't really conceptualized it to that extent. But like to be sitting here, I will preface this saying I do think it's important to take care of yourself. I go to the gym. I take care of how I look to a certain extent. That's important. But beyond that, don't be doing that freakish behavior where you're just being very, I would say, comparative in a sense, because let's just say that will drag you down very much, and you don't want to be doing that. It makes you think about things in a very weird context, because I know guys like this. I've met guys like this who think on a very, I would say, terminally online capacity. And I think there's a lot of good things in being online and being able to utilize being online to accumulate leverage, which looks like this. So then you can do this and have money. So it's a bit of a battle. But once you can get that and get that equity curve looking something like this, well, you put yourself in a good situation. That comes from culmination of right decisions, decision frameworks, and doing the right things at the right time. So obviously, when you're sitting here in this bracket specifically, as a youth, like I said, invest in skills, invest in learning, invest in being uncomfortable, invest in messaging people who are ahead of you. To get in places like this, to be able to do content, to be able to put yourself in places where you can then work in places where you're not normally going to be working at 21. It's going to require you to do something that's not normal. And that's going to require you to send out risky messages, send out things. I want to learn from you. I want to do things. How can I provide value? What can I do that can make my life, make me get an exponential curve? Because for the older folks, not old, that's a really bad term to put it, but people who have capital and reputation and responsibility, well, they're going to want to look out for the people who take initiative. So take people who message, people who cold call, people who do all that. They're going to favor that. If you're just doing the university degree and you're saying, where's my job? I don't have a job now. Where's my job? Well, your job's probably not going to be coming to you because, well, what are you doing to deserve that job versus a guy who's putting the effort in? And again, guys, this requires effort. Okay, everything requires effort. Do you want this? Do you want your life to look like this? Okay. Do you want to have hundreds of thousands of dollars? Do you want to own do you want to have ownership in your life? Well, get ready to take some damn responsibility. Okay. This is not a crash out. This is me just trying to help people, and especially the young fellas, because it's very difficult. I was starting down here. It's so much easier for me to make money now because I have money. Like what's that? It's just, there's also red days too. You'll take, and that's part of life. Like for me in trading, it just views like red days are just days like this too, where your equity curves like that. And by the way, this is not my entire trading portfolio. I do have some on different exchanges, But you get the point, what I'm trying to say here. Now, taking risks is very important, okay? Take risks. Learn something new. Read a book, Instead of going on Instagram, get a Kindle. Download books on how to think. Download books on what Elon Musk read. Do that stuff. Or choose the path of destruction. Go smoke weed and do drugs with your friends and go drink every weekend and then wake up at 30 realizing, what did I just do? Why has Isaac got a house and worth $500,000? Why does he have so much more leverage and employability? Hold on, I didn't think about this. So, there's people who balance the curve, and I think it's important to balance it. Go out and occasionally have a drink. I went out to a work function yesterday. I did have a few drinks. I haven't had a drink for like a year preceding that. That's why I didn't sleep last night, because I realized, well, I didn't sleep, and I got another work function next week, so maybe I might have another one, but that will be it for the next year, because I know that second order thinking. I know I'm gonna feel cool for a little bit, but I'm gonna have all these downside effects, right? So it's gonna feel yay, and then it's gonna feel no. Next day, groggy, all that sort of stuff. But I know that. That's why I do it once a year, whatever my interval is for that specific task, right? Tasks compound. So if you're doing that every day, you're gonna feel like crap every day. Eating good, that's a different thing. Okay, it might feel like crap at the start, but it feels good later on. Your body's fit, you're fast, you can think clearly, and your curve looks like this. And then the easier it is to make good decisions, and then something will derail you like that, and then you'll have a consolidation, you'll be built back up again. That's life. You're gonna be hit. So take risks when you're young. Now risk specifically. Be risky. Learn knowledge that you thought you wouldn't have wanted to learn. Read a book you didn't want to learn. You want to read. Put yourself in an environment you didn't want to put yourself in. Be around people who you think are way ahead of you. Okay. Once you get there, you realize that they're actually not way ahead of you. They just took a risk themselves, and they had the compounding effects too. A lot of these guys in these videos I do are really smart guys. They're really rich too. I shouldn't be there. I'm not that rich. Should I even be on the moon show with 700,000 subscribers? Probably not. Am I? Yes, I am. You know why? Because I took risk. I took action. I sent messages. I did the things that get you moving. Take action, take action, take action. I like to visualize like this. You've got a curve here, right? So you've got this curve that says, I just do uni. I just apply on LinkedIn and Indeed. Sorry, that was so mad. I sit in my room and hope. You got the guys over here. I send the message. I build a portfolio online and set it public so people can see. I do hard things. I go to the gym. I do compounding activities. Everything in that nature will lead you to this. Everything in that nature will lead you to this and this, because it is an illusion of action. Even uni is an illusion of action. You're not really learning that much. It's all legacy information. Keep up to date. ChatGPT's out here, guys. You're gonna be a laggard if you're not up to date. The paradigm's changed. We're not in the 1880s anymore. Like the landscape's changed, right? For me to have all my money, not all my money, but a lot of my money on an exchange is not normal at this age. Most people used to have their money in banks. I keep it here so I can compound it. Do things that get you outsized returns. Now, I'm at a stage now where I'm taking a bit of a breather, okay? I've done a fair bit, okay? Now I'm going to start focusing on hobbies more. I'm going to start focusing on different sort of connections. Because I know, worst case scenario, I can just default on a 9-to-5 job and that will be my plot, okay? There's guys out here who can't even get jobs, okay? They can't even get an employment. Apparently the job market's cooked, which I've heard it is. I'm specifically talking about people who don't come from a nepotism background, who have to build everything from themselves, right? My parents are teachers. They're not coming from professional backgrounds where they provided me a place to live in. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But, I wasn't just provided like all these connections, and I've had to put the effort in myself. I had to be the late nights learning, struggling, vision boards. I got a vision board up there, sitting there trying to figure out how do I do this? Then going on Instagram, seeing all these guys who are like millionaires at my age and thinking, I'm a loser. You go through those sort of thought patterns, but the reality of the situation is, no, you're not. You're not a loser. You're getting started, okay? People hit it big later on, bro. And if you're already like me, you're going to hit it big because you're already sitting here. Like, bro, you've already got $70,000. You're 21, bro. Come on. Just buy Bitcoin at the next low. A few $100,000, okay? Oh, okay, let's say it doesn't do it. Let's say it does a 20% move. Okay, well, then you've just banked a few $1,000s. Cool. You're working a job. Cool, you're getting income. Like, for example, right now, I'm making, for the amount of work I do, I'm making a pretty good amount of money. You know, I would say upwards, factoring in my trading and everything now in my incomes between my different income streams, I'm probably making about $90,000 a year having to go into an office 2 days a week while I'm in university through smart actions and smart planning. And the reality of that situation is that's capital that just expands and grows, bro. Like, that's just going to grow like that. Give me 10 years, I'm going to be sad. Assuming the world doesn't end and all those restrictions and social security or whatever we're talking about. You know, and then meanwhile, there's going to be guys who are going to be like, oh, I'm 30, my life sucks. Oh, I made bad decisions. Now, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow in this world, right? Consequences have actions, and if you don't take action and don't do the right things, well, then you're going to fall into crappy life. Now, I have just stuffed up my sleep from not sleeping, so my entire circadian rhythm is now stuffed up. But I have to get to work. I've got a few things I've got to do. I've got to do the moon show later today. I got to talk about the markets. That's a form of employability to me. That's a form of leverage. Now, we want to get into what leverage is because leverage is important. Once you've understood this, it's very, very simple. Trade time for these things, guys. Trade time for that. Now, let's get into the topic of... Actually, before we get into leverage, let's just dive into what's going on over here. So, if AI is replacing work, what that means is you need to get connections fast. So you need to have a network really quick, because the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to develop genuine, authentic connections, because everything's going to be AI slop. It's going to be starting to cut through the mix. You need to be doing things with people, doing things with
Ladies and
people.
gentlemen,
This is people, right? I'm with people here. And I build relationship with these people because they're really nice people, and I help them out, and I grow in my knowledge base. I make a connection. I make an effort at my job to talk to everyone, actually have conversation. So then I have connections to employers, connections to people, even just people I can have lunch with. Okay, I can go out to a said location where they live and go have lunch with said person. That enables me to expand my social horizon. Not in the capacity of I'm trying to take, but I'm going to have a conversation and enjoy my time with said person, okay? So you need to build a network. The sooner you start that, the sooner the better, because networks grow exponentially. And let me tell you this. Just from doing these videos, I've met so many people just from doing that I never would have thought was possible. Because I will tell you exactly what it looks like. One person on the node opens up, let's say two more. Two more people in the node open up two more. Said thing. Before you know it, your network is already tenfold what it was going to be. Like, look at this. And before you know it, you've got a giant web of people. That's why network effects are very important. So if you can get a network effect on your life and your work, you'll have employment for the rest of your life. And you'll create a positive feedback loop, which will feed your investments, which you can then take more higher bets, more capital. And then before you know it, you've created this spiral which feeds itself, and then you just continually get rich and wealthy. And then everyone wants to come and talk to you because they want to know how you did it. So then you have more connections, and then you have money flowing towards you. Then you can raise capital faster. And then your life becomes on easy mode because you've just done the right things at the right age. It's much harder to do this when you're 50. You're trying to start the network effect at you're 50. Well, replace me with the 50-year-old face here. It's a lot harder to go in these rooms, and then especially if you're just starting at 50, it's a lot harder. So you got to start young. That's why there's no mercy. This notion that you have all this time is a lie. Okay? Don't get nervous about it, but you don't have time. I mean, yes, you have time on like a sense of like an asset basket, but that time's running out very, very quickly. If you don't make use of it, you'll end up just like every other average person you see. Now, for the guys who don't want to be average like me, and I'm not saying I want to be average from the sense of like, oh, I'm comparing myself to these NPC normies. I'm not like that. You know, there's certain things I want in life. I want to buy a sailboat. I want to explore the world, and you can't do that on an average salary. You can't do the things I want to do with an average situation. Okay, I'm leveling up my situation so I can then go work in Dubai for a bit, expand my network. You know, these guys are based in Dubai. I can go work in Dubai maybe next year once I finish university. That's extremely valuable, extremely valuable. So then I can grow my income, whatever I'm trying to do. Now, um, network effects. So you want to do network effects on your life. So network effects, specifically the type of people you want to be. So this is a node, right? So a person is a node in a chain of connections. The people who are the best nodes are the people who are very social. So they're social. They are. They provide value. They have money. So they have money. They have knowledge. And yeah, so those are like your key ones. Because if they have that, well then all you got to be is social, and then all you got to do is provide value and knowledge. So social values and knowledge, like the trifecta of like things you can do when you're young. So you can be social, you can have knowledge, and then you can have value. So your value is going to be you can put in the dog hours and make content, build things, learn information, research, right? That gets your foot in the door. So if you're like this, so your connection is like this placeholder who has this hole that you need to get into, right? So it's like the Tet in Edge of Tomorrow or the Tom Cruise movie. You need this trifecta to fit in here. So you need to go in there like that. And then once you're in the connection loop. You're in here, you can then move around. You're part of the node, right? You can then go to fancy dinners, you can soiree around CEOs, you can do all the things which enable you to grow this bad boy over here, which then lets you get the compound effect on your connections and your money and your life, which helps you grow everything. Because at this age, you don't have money. And the reality is now I'm starting to have money. Okay, so once I start to have money, well, then people want to know me. Okay, and it's funny because that's how the thing works. Because once you have money, it's pre-assumed you've got knowledge, value, and social capital. So starting from zero is the hardest bit because what it looks like is this. You're here with this. So this is like a rock, right? You're here trying to push this up. Once you get it over here, you reach a point where it's so much easier and it's just downstream. So ideally you want that tipping point to be 30. You want your career to be in full motion by 30. You want your capital to be working for you by then. So it's going to be very, very hard during this phase. And then it's going to be a lot easier once you're in here. So that's going to be the trick for you guys to follow. You got to really got to do this. It's going to be hard. 20s to 30s is going to be difficult, okay? Accept it. You want to be doing that in your 30s where you're going to have to push this, you want to delay this standard deviation curve up here where it's so much harder. And in fact, it looks like this instead. It's like infinitely harder. And it probably takes, the curve's probably much more like that. The results don't compound fast enough. They do. You can look at Grant Cardone. Like he came back from the trenches doing drugs and stuff. So you can definitely come back at like, I think he was 25 when he had his comeback. I'm 21 at this, trying to do all this right now. So you gotta be quick. Late stage capitalism. We're entering a phase where everything's hyper financialized. So you gotta learn the game, learn how money works. That's very important. Read books on how money works, how you can navigate this. Massive comparison traps. So get off social media unless you're creating content. Don't be on it. You're just gonna be seeing all sorts of ridiculous things. What I would say instead is follow someone you admire and follow all the people they follow. Create your feed to program your mind to be like the person you want to be. Now, a lot of young guys are going to say, I want to be like TJR Trades. Well, the reality is he's making his money off telling you how to make money and having a funded trading account and not being real, showing everything because he'd probably be losing his money realistically, okay? You know, I'm out here being slow, being genuine, not blowing my capital like a retard and Like, yes, I do have things like referrals you can sign up to, which give me more money, but I'm not sitting here not actually putting my money where my mouth is too. I'm actually actively in the trenches with everyone too, and I'm being honest about it, right? Like I'm trying to do all of this, being honest and not having my integrity be taken from me, because once that's gone, that's something that's part of you. That's like you lose a chip of your identity once that's gone. Now, yeah, so social capital, value, money, knowledge. We know the trifecta: value, social, and yeah. Now that's getting harder and easier with AI. So harder in the sense that everyone has access to the information, but easier in the sense that information is more accessible. That's why I say do the next step, produce that, get that information, put it online so people can see. They can see your initiative. People want to know you're an initiative taker. That really helps. Really helps you be able to get in the right places, do the right things, etc. So that is like what I'm looking at right now. And then another thing I would say for leverage, because leverage is very important. Now I'm not saying leverage your money in trading. That's not what I'm talking about. But you know, there's a time and place where that might be applicable, but we're not going to get into that. If you want to look at that, follow Isaac Crypto, where I go over my crypto markets, my trades. You know, there was times where I did do some risky trades. Maybe here I was in a $250,000 long, etc., etc. But like most of the time, I'm not doing that. Leverage, 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 leverage. Leverage comes in the form of two major things, especially this day and age, media. So media is a form of leverage. Social capital is a form of leverage. So social capital. And then what else do you have? Other forms of leverage are, well, normal capital, because it helps you invest in yourself and grow. So if I can pull in, you know, a lot more money, well then I can buy better things, buy better food, buy better equipment, which does this for my life. Media, social capital, normal capital, and then I would say like health is just that's just an obvious thing. Like health, just I'm not gonna like obviously if you're watching this video, you better be healthy. It sounds crazy coming from me considering I didn't sleep last night. Like you get the point. So media, produce stuff, open that LinkedIn account. You know, get those followers up, get those opticals up, get it all up. You know, get all that going, right? Oh, it's so cringe. Guess what, bro? Be cringe. Be cringe or die. Be cringe or die trying. Like that's it. Media is this. This is a form of media. Um, a form of media is also just like cold calling, applying. You know, for the Moon Group, I just messaged them, and then before you know it, I am in talking to them now. What's another thing you can do? Well, follow people who are ahead where you want to be. Like Jack Henderson is a guy I like to follow. He talks about property. I like his content. I like Alex Hormozy. I like all these different guys. I even where this video is going to be uploaded, I've also pinned down channels which I recommend following and listening to. They talk about these sorts of things I'm looking at too. I'm 21, but I'm going to be 22 soon. So I've just read that there. Watch me grow my wealth live. So you can do that here. Watch these channels, see if you're trying to get useful. Media, social capital, capital. They're your main ones. So, you know, YouTube channels, Instagram, all that jazz. Getting in there, doing it. Social capital, sending messages, talking to people, building those connections. Get on social media. Be a creator. Okay, be a creator. So that's the key here. Being a creator. The creator economy versus the consumer economy is like completely different. Capital. Well, capital is just going to be a slow one, but once you have it, it's going to grow exponentially. So, you know, the days when when it was a struggle to get to, you know, $1,000, well, I can get $1,000 in like a few, like really quickly, right? But the last 7 days, what did I make? 2,600, like just by taking some trades. Also taking some losses, right? But my equity curve's up overall. Now, it's only going to get more exponential due to the fact that I position myself very accordingly with the market, and the fact that the next bull market cycle is going to make me rich for my age. You know, and also getting in the right spot. So one thing I want to talk about too. So we know this, right? So guys, get to it. Action. Shut up. I just want to say shut up. No excuses. Just get to it. Raw action. Pick your interest lane. Okay, your interest lane is real estate. Do real estate videos. Your interest lane is capital management. Do capital management. Your interest zone is music. We'll do music. Your interest is whatever it is. I specifically picked highly asymmetric things like crypto, money, things like which can offer me a lot of money. But regardless of whatever field you're doing, maybe you're doing a field of psychology. Well, like look at Jordan Peterson. He commodified his thoughts. You can do that. I would just start and just build that bank, right? View everything as a bank. Okay, every day I wake up, I go to my bank, I deposit my coins into my bank, my coins in my crypto, I deposit my coins into my future investments, my health, my relationships, etc. I deposit my coins into my risk-taking behavior. So my risks, I deposit into risk. Risk have high asymmetric bets. Another thing I want to talk about is the fallacy, not a fallacy, but the fact of waves. So this is very important to making a lot of money very, very quickly. And I'll tell you how I got my brother to make $300,000 in approximately 5 months. Because I saw his skill set and I saw that it was an opportunity. And that's enabled us to have luxury cars, start us also be dabbling into luxury car rentals. So we own luxury Range Rover and a Mercedes Benz, which we rent out for side income. That's also another tool which we use for optics to get connections, to meet people, and it's a talking point, right? Because that's how you meet and grow your network. Because ultimately, you just want to meet a lot of these nodes, and they get you to grow like this, and they make your like think about Donald Trump. What does his node look like? It's like this. It's ridiculous. It's just huge. I'm gonna get into this, and then I'm gonna get into social issues and how we can combat that, specifically phones, and then interactions with people, and then this one's gonna be the next. Okay, so let's get into this one now. So everything moves in waves in life. Like your circadian rhythm moves in a wave, your hunger moves in a wave, your desire moves in a range, your everything moves in waves, right? So the sun moves in waves, tides moves in waves. Business cycles moves in waves based on debt. Okay, so over borrowing, overspending. Like in Australia, we have an insanely high amount of lending that's going on. So house prices and debts through the roof. So house pricing's probably up here right now. Okay. So I saw an opportunity because I've been in crypto, right? I saw an opportunity with meme coins. So meme coins was something. Let me just write this. Meme coins was something that was hitting off really big. And I saw my brother was doing nothing. He was playing games all day. So I said, hey, mate, let me sit you down here and talk to you for 2 hours and let's see what we can do. I want to get your attention off video games and partition it into meme coins and see if you can make money in this. So I sat him down, as you would as a brother, on the computer screen. You know, two brothers here. I was showing him what I knew about the market. Keep in mind, I wasn't profitable, but I knew he had the mental aptitude for it. And this goes part of the thing of delegation and what you can do to delegate tasks and all that sort of stuff. So I saw the opportunity for that, and I said, hey, you should try this instead. Learn this. So I did. I said, learn this. He spent about a few months trying to learn it. He lost all his money. And then, by doing it, he learned the game. And then he started making a lot of money to the point where he made $100,000 in 1 month. And then overall, he made about $300,000. And now, that meme cycle, right, is dead. It's literally down here right now in the troughs. So, there will be another thing. So, the other thing that was last was NFTs. That was the next thing. So the next thing is probably going to be some sort of weird, like, branch off of this. It could be poly market. It could be betting markets. It could be all that sort of stuff. There's always going to be some trend that pops up which you can take advantage of. And it's going to last for a little bit and it's going to die. I should have put more effort into going hard in the meme coin cycle because I could have made so much money. I was there right at the beginning. I was there right here. I saw coins right from zero go to hundreds of millions and billions. And I didn't even make any money from it. Like, you know, that goes to keeping knowledge of what you're doing and keeping records. That's why I'm publishing these so I can look back on them and be like, okay, I know that I'm not gonna get wrecked, and not that I didn't not gonna wreck, but I know that I'm gonna learn from my lessons in the past. Anyway, we made good money from it anyway. Like, we're sitting pretty. Me and him are worth hundreds of thousands together. We're He's 19. I'm like, well, he's 20. I'm 21. Like, we're let's say we're not struggling. We're not struggling whatsoever. And I've also shared my knowledge with dad and my father, and we've done well in that. And this is all about helping people around you, bro. Like, you got to help everyone around you. Some people are resistant though. That's just the nature of the game too. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is when things are hot, take advantage of them. The reason being, he made $300,000. Do you know how long it takes to make $300,000 from a normal job? So long. And the reality of that $300,000 on an equity curve through compounding is the reality of that is that's going to be so much more. And if that could be like $1 million in 10 years. Do you know how long it takes to make him? He's 19. He might have $1 million. He's gonna have more than that by the time we get there. Considering this, assuming the world goes on, because just like money, knowledge and risk compounds. So, yeah. By the way, I'm giving you a masterclass here, guys. You need to like this video. This is a masterclass. $300,000. That compounds. So by the time we do the correct investments, millions and millions and millions of dollars. By the time we're 30, 40. Most guys there are just getting that, okay? So it's not just $300,000. You're buying back 10 years of your life by locking in for a few months. Okay, you locked in for 2 months. It was really hard. You didn't sleep well. You didn't see your friends for a bit. Well, you just saved yourself 10 years of going to a job you hate and having no leverage, right? So what's happening right now? Well, right now it's learning season, baby. Like, read books, learn markets, open trading views, figure out what you're looking at. Whatever it is. I'm just curious on what prices are myself too. Learn what's happening in your scope of interest. Right now opportunity is very, very low because liquidity is getting sucked out of markets. People are tightening up. We're probably entering a bit of a recession for a bit, which I think we are. All that sort of stuff. And you've got to be able to spot these opportunities. These are once in a lifetime opportunities, just like crypto. That was once in a lifetime. This is once in a lifetime. The next one will be once in a lifetime. I don't know if it's that, probably something different. But it's going to come nonetheless. When it comes, you better be there. Now, the reason I say it's very, very important because I don't think these troughs are linear. I think these troughs will look like this. So crypto, like Bitcoin was the first one. NFTs were next. Like altcoins, NFTs, meme coins. The next one's going to be smaller. The reason I believe it's going to be smaller is because everyone's getting smarter. AI is here now too. So there's going to be a very, very small window. What this looks like to me is everything in this world is like doing this. It's creeping up slowly to a point where it's doing this and it's forming this pattern like this where it's about to break out for one final finale until everything gets ultra automated until there's no opportunity, and then we literally form a cashless society. We form no opportunity, and that will cement the tier lines between people who are higher class and lower class. Now, what I mean by that is people who have capital and people who don't. If you don't have capital and you're going in the next 10 years, you're going to be screwed. Capital allocators will be winning this next frame in life, okay? Everything I'm saying here will lead you to this. You have to be doing this. If you're not doing this, you're not going to be set. You're going to be stuffed, okay? You're in uni for another 10 years, wasting your time. Stop. You're going to be stuck in rent. You're not going to be able to own assets. You're not going to be build businesses. You're going to be stuck hating the life that you're in. Or, by the way, I want to say this. I'm specifically talking to guys who are ambitious like myself. If you're not ambitious and you want to live a normal life and do the normal things that normal people do, then go ahead and do it. If you're happy in that situation, do it. I'm not happy in that because I know there's one life. We have one life on this earth. I'm going to try my hardest to make the most of it. Now, I'm just trying to think if I missed anything because I don't think I did. And there's a call to action in the rest of this video because, guys, you need to lock in, right? Like, I don't want to see my boys failing. Call to action is this. Stop comparing yourself to idiots online, okay? Cool kids. absolute people who social hierarchies, all this sort of stupid, retarded information. Just stop. It's not relevant. What you need to focus on is building yourself up. Build your knowledge base up. Build your money up. You know, everyone's so cool until they see your bank account, until they see what you have, until they see what you own, until they see your opportunities you have. Everyone's so cool then, right? No, they're not. You're the one who's cool. And it's not even about being cool. It's just about, do you want a good life for yourself? Do you want opportunities? Do you want to be the magnet? Because if so, you better do this. If you don't, like, the magnet's right here, by the way. It's really hard to draw this and just put it on the screen. You want to be in a situation where things come to you instead of you chasing up, which looks like this. Now, the scope of things is different to men and women. Like, guys have to build their start, right? Women do in a sense, but it's different. I'm specifically talking to guys here because, you know, we start off with nothing. We have to build ourselves. If you're a guy, you're kind of useless if you have nothing. As unfortunate as that is, your utility is pretty low. You know, your looks aren't valued as much. You know, your utility is mainly what the important thing. Yes, you know, being kind, all that's important, but, you know, there's a reality of the situation. People need to eat. Food needs to be put on the table. If it's not on the table, you can't be fed. Food needs to be put on the table. I can eat. Okay, I can eat at 21 knowing I'm good. All right? I'm not here to flex. I'm here to show you what's possible. And by the way, that's nothing. Having $70,000 at this age is nothing. It's peanuts. My brother has 3 times me and he's 2 years younger than me. So that gets you an idea on where the competition's sitting at. Now, if you're going to sit here and doom, well then you're asking for this. Equity curve in your life. Don't do that. Do not be retarded. Man up. Some stepping stones you can start is going to the gym, eating well, sorting out your diet and sleep. Like, you know, sounds wise for me saying I slept, but I didn't. Because I didn't sleep. The call to action here is this. Start that YouTube channel. Start that page. Start that newsletter right now, today. Freaking get that email open right now and do it. Film that video, like me, right now. So it's booked in history. It's compounding. And right now, what am I doing by filming this? I'm adding to my bank of knowledge and my bank of insights and my bank of data. The more data you have, the more dots. The more dots, the more connections. The more connections, the more potential for serendipity and opportunity exponentiality. So then you can go and do these things and talk to people who are interesting and be in good rooms and be in offices where you shouldn't be. Looking over the horizons of Brisbane, whatever it is, okay? Because I know guys my age who are flipping pizzas, flipping burgers, and I'm sitting here making money, and I'm sitting here with opportunities opportunities and options to do what I want when I graduate university. Okay, guys out here saying, oh, I'm just doing uni, I'm just focusing on my uni right now. Bro, you're gonna get slammed by like all the guys who are following this video. Sorry. This isn't about being some stupid Chad, alpha male garbage, whatever freaking the new age wizardry is. This is about understanding the rules of the game, taking advantage of the rules of the game, learning how it works, understanding power laws of exponentiality, Pareto principle, all the things which are conducive of you winning. Okay? And then yeah, just getting out there and taking some damn action. Arrange the meeting. Offer to pay for someone dinner. You know, I've had countless dinners with countless people now. A lot of them don't hit. A lot of those interactions will not hit. It won't be a negative interaction, but it'll just be like, nothing was gained. But you'll have the occasional one which will be like this. And that's your aha moment, because that leads to everything else. Anyway, I hope this video was very, very helpful, because I know how hard it is out there, guys. I know it's difficult. I know you're seeing all these macro trends of how hard jobs are, how hard it is, all this sort of jazz. And it is hard. And I do sympathize with the guys here, because I've spoken to these guys. I know what they're like. They're struggling. They have no money. They have no friends. They have no professional connections. They can't take care of themselves. They always feel they're stuck in a loop. And they just feel like life's just crap, okay? I'm here to tell you that doesn't have to be the case. Yes, you're going to have bad days. I'm having a bad day right now. I didn't sleep, okay? I went to work. I didn't sleep today. All right? I'm annoyed. But, you know, regardless of the fact, there's banks you have to deposit assets into. So the bank of yourself, the bank of capital, the bank of information, the bank of data, the bank of knowledge. So what am I going to do later today? I'm probably going to read. I'm probably going to go, well, in fact, I'm uploading a video for the moon show, which is going to get thousands of views. So that's going to be social capital. So every day I'm uploading to the bank, which the bank of me, which offers exponential returns. The more I do that, the more connections I get, the more connections I get, the more opportunities I get, the more opportunities I get, the more of a feedback loop it is. And before you know it, I'm a millionaire and I'm retired and I'm living in the life I want to live. It's actually really simple, but it's just because it takes a lot of effort, especially when you're right here. A lot of effort. You think the billionaires, once they've set everything up, they think they need to grind so hard. They don't. The richest people I know in my life, I know countless billionaires, okay? They work hard, but they don't work hard in the same sense of like how you would view it. They've systemized everything. And we're going to get into these systems and feedback loops and lots of stuff in more comprehensive video. Not saying this wasn't comprehensive, but they have frameworks and ways of thinking which make everything so easy. Decision making is easy. They can wake up, log on for an hour, deploy their money. Like, you wouldn't believe it. The last 7 days, I logged on, checked what I was looking at, made $2,000 doing nothing. Oh, cool. Okay, when you're flipping burgers, do you know how many hours that work takes of talking to people and dealing with managers and whatever you're doing, like being in an environment you hate? Like, it's a lot. Nothing I would say is try to shift your environment as quickly as possible. And if you're in a situation you hate, that's a pointer. So I had this this year. I was working too much and I wanted to change things up. And so it's a point of direction. So how you're feeling. So let's say you're feeling like crap. You know, this is how you feel, just a mess, right? And this is pointing to saying, I feel like crap. So I feel like crap. That's you saying you need to do something different. You need to take an action, which will lead you to the different. That's what led me to start making videos with the moon. That's what led me to start doing videos with the team over at Ainsley, which then led me to be in the financial field, which then led me to be connected with CEOs, which then led me to be doing something different, something that I actually am interested in. It's not my final destination, but it's something I'm interested in, right? So I don't have to sit there pretending to enjoy a job that I hate. You know, I started at, let me just pull up my image. I started at like working retail jobs. I was like a concierge at a bowling alley. Like, I've done these jobs. I've worked Macca's. I've worked at, you know, Domino's and all these garbage jobs. I was nervous. I did teaching. I was nervous. I did this club. I was nervous. Every single time I've had a big breakthrough is when I've been nervous. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at, guys, and it's only going to get better from here. Assuming I don't die prematurely. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Or assuming the world doesn't end, like I've said multiple times. I'm not going to be getting into that doomer mindset of the world ending. Yes, things are getting harder. Yes, it's going to get harder. AI this, AI that. Hyperstage capitalism, whatever. Yeah, and it gets harder. So what? You can adapt faster. So I like to say this, I like to finish off with this, adapt or die. It sounds brutal, but adapt or die. You can't be a laggard. You got to be at the cutting edge of what's happening. The cutting edge right now is in crypto. It's in AI. It's in development. It's in the creator economy. It's in taking brute action. By the way, we didn't get to finish this off. This video is coming at 1 hour, 20 minutes. That's pretty damn long. Once I ran, I don't stop. Social issues. Now, big thing. I want to talk about this because I've been trying to change this because even I've been noticing that I've been falling in victim to this. You need to be using the phone as a tool to help you. So my background is literally what I want in 2026. I want 20,000 subscribers. I want to upgrade my environment. I want to leverage systems. I want to conquer Bitcoin. I want more social leverage. I want more consistency. I want to capitalize on power laws. I want to be a magnet. I want to be purely focused. Now, spreading that, I want to have fun, have hobbies, have silly jokes with my friends, you know, have stupid, fun chats. But the theme of the year is going to be pushing forward to create that exponentiality. Because, let me tell you this. There's so many videos online of guys saying, I'm 40, I ruined my life. Here's what you need to do to not ruin your life. Listen, guys, don't ruin your life. You're 20 years old. You have time, but you better take action now. Okay, I want to say this clearly to you, and I want to say this to you, Isaac, watching this 40 years from now. I expect you to take brute action every day to get to where you want to be. So you can look back and think, I'm happy with how things turned out. I don't want you to be making a video on, I regret my decisions in my life. And by the way, I'm already in a good situation, so it's going to be easier from now on. You better step it up. And the reality of the situation is this. We were talking about waves before. When the least opportunity is here, people tend to focus the least. Sorry, when the most opportunity isn't in there, they tend to focus the least. But when there's least, they tend to try and catch up. So what does that mean for life? Well, it means the better it gets, the more harder you should work. Okay? Because then you can, instead of getting it like this, you can get it like this. And before you know it, you'll be feeling on top of the world. You'll be feeling good. But I do think it's good to go through a phase as a guy of getting completely beaten up every day, realizing that you're nothing, and then you have to build yourself up. I think it's good for your character. It's good for your growth, because there's all these guys who just inherit money, strike it lucky, and then they're just rich, and they don't really build character. You want to build character, confidence in who you are, the ability to write these frameworks, understand how you even got there in the first place. Otherwise, it just pops up. Oh, it was daddy's money. Daddy just making money appear. There is not going to be a video made of me sitting here saying, "Oh, I regret my life. I'm all blah blah blah." Take action. Take freaking action every single freaking day, and you'll be good. It just requires a few lucky hits. That's it. Now, everyone's on their phone every day. Now, if you want to break that bullcrap social agreement that we have to be on our phone miserable, pretending to be working when we're out in public, it's just a bunch of tell me, like, look at yourself. You look at yourself and you stare at your phone all the time. Go have a conversation with a stranger. Change it up. Fix it up. Start stacking social capital wins. Even if the social capital wins aren't a long-lasting connection. For example, I have made an effort to talk to strangers on the train when I go to work. Even though there's literally nothing in common, I will say something. I'll say something like the last one was a woman that was knitting next to me. I said, "Is that knitting or crocheting?" And we ended up having a really good conversation just about life and her life, and how she was working for the police force, and how she was looking at upward mobility in the company, and then her travels with her husband, and how she does house loan structuring, trust funds. We ended up having a conversation about polyester, about radiation waves, and just the whole ride home we were having a conversation. And I know not everyone's going to be like that, but don't be the one who waits. Life is not going to come to those who wait. Everything I've done has been through raw action, and I've wasted time waiting too, and I'm regretting that. And I'm not going to sit here and regret, because I think regret, you can learn from it, but you better learn from it now. Don't sit and wait. You know, if there's something you want to do, start now. And don't force the outcome though. Like, let's say you want to get in a relationship. Go out there, meet people, talk to people. But don't force it. You know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. At least you're trying. At least you know you're trying. You know, go up to that person, say hi, tell them what you think. Do that thing. Get out there. Don't sit in, because I've noticed there's like guys have become shells of themselves. They've become just really shell. Yeah, and look, like, guys, you need to stack small wins. Like, don't do it all at once. Just start stacking small wins slowly. Start getting the career stuff sorted. Start getting the money up. It's a lot easier for me now to be social and be happy with myself. Now I got $70,000. Okay, I can sit there and I'm not thinking about money all the time. I can think and just wait. Okay, when's my next opportunity to buy? Okay, when's my next opportunity? Oh, let me just buy something now. I'm chill. I don't have to worry. But I was forged in fire from this. Okay, like, you don't understand how many freaking days I've had literally crying in bed because I've lost all my money. Or wrong channel, sorry. Let's go back to here. Like,
hi everyone, and welcome to.
Let me just pull that back. You don't know how many days I've spent back in the day. Let's have a look at this, right? Let's have a look at how I was talking.
And how you can use them to trade and what they are. And all strategies and plans are brought from
I don't know what I was talking about here. Okay, now I have a really good idea how the markets work. What was I talking about? Look at me. Like, let's have a look at me right here. Like, I'm walking around. By the way, I'd say I've had a glow up. I would give that to myself.
Studying the charts and learning.
Look at me. I'm in the trenches, guys. Look at my face, okay? Look at my face there, and look at me now. I'm not saying I'm a stunning guy or whatever. I've been putting effort into myself, okay? I want to give this as a hope to you. I don't have everything sorted out. I don't need to get it all sorted out. Like, you don't need to. I'm getting no views, getting nowhere. Freaking bug-eyed, crappy facial hair, just struggling. Just everything sucks. In the muck, the mud. Okay, you got to go through that. Let me just highlight that and what that looks like, okay? I just want to do this so you can see what can be done. Don't doom. Okay, you're struggling here. Okay. And then before you know it, you're starting to make videos for... and now your brand is put on a professional billboard where, you know, this to this, right? So you're starting to get upward momentum and mobility. That makes things so much easier. I don't know what I was doing here. Now I can connect the dots looking back. So you have to connect dots looking back. Anyway, take that initiative. Have the conversation with go up to people and just talk to random people. Have a chat. Say, how you doing? How's your day going today? And say, what's your name? How's your day going? What's your name? What have you been up to? Okay, what have you been up to? Oh, I've done this, this, and this. Okay. Oh, that's so cool. I'm interested in that. Tell me more about it. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Just like the node network where it's like this, where it does that. Well, then the conversation network casts a wide net, and you can start talking about freaking polyester and getting radiated to your balls. Like, that's literally what we were talking about on the train from a conversation that started as talking about knitting. Okay, so it just takes a step. You got to jump, and the step is action. Action, 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 action. Learn to take action. That is the key here, guys. I want to tell you that. Learn to take action. Before you know it, you'll be 40 years old, regretting your life. And yeah. Like, and obviously there are constraints when you're young. Like, the constraints for me right now, I'm stuck in uni. I got to finish uni. I can't really quit my job necessarily right now because I'm doing uni. I want to save money. I'm doing all this. You know, there's constraints. I'm not in a stage where I can just do whatever I want. Like, there's still, like, you're still boxed up, but at least you're boxed up on a bigger level. You know, but being boxed, like, the first level of being boxed up is being stuck, putting a Macca's cap on. Like that. You know, I'm not in that position. I'm not there. I've done the work to not be there. Now, that's my current framework, guys. Asset price inflation, quickly go over that. You know what? Don't worry about that. Just focus on everything I've been saying in this video. That will be sorted out when you acquire money and capital. Like, when this is $700,000, I don't need to worry about asset price inflation because my capital is growing and then I'm having assets that are good. And follow us at crypto if you want to look at the trading markets. Yeah, that's what I have to say, guys. This is my current mental model on how I'm viewing everything right now and what I've done. By the way, I've done more than that in my life. This is just an example of just like some highlights right now, right? And we're going to keep taking exponential actions every day. I'm going to, in the future in these, I'm going to be putting mental models, power laws, tools you can use to secure your success, platforms you can use, and everything I've been learning on my journey, and also my iterations. It's not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations, my guy. For now, have a blessed day, and I'll catch you in the next update I do. Just put the work in every day. That's all I can say. Your life will get better. Peace out.